Hey everyone, Matron here, bringing you another StarCraft 2 commentary, this time one of my own games. I'll be playing as the Blue Zerg in the southeast corner of Shakuras Plateau here, and my opponent will be Reikai spawning as the Red Terran. This was a ladder game. Reikai is about a 2,700 point diamond player. He's got 355 wins, 304 losses, so pretty solid middle of the pack, maybe upper diamond player, a little bit below the Masters level. And I have been playing as Protoss for the most part, just recently swapped over to playing Zerg. I've been playing a lot of custom games against friends or Redditors or people in Reddit's clan Karma. So I've been practicing quite a bit as Zerg, and now I've been taking the show on the road and playing some ladder games. Again, I was sort of mid-diamond Protoss, so I didn't want to jump right into playing on the ladder Zerg. But I've really been having trouble with the TVZ matchup. So I've done some analysis of some IdrA games, some Dimaga games, and just trying to learn what the best way to keep your army alive in this matchup is. Coming from Protoss, which has such very strong units with the shields and just high HP totals, I'm not really used to how weak some of these Zerg units are. Zerglings going down very quickly to siege tanks or stim marines, mutas just being torn apart by stim marines and by Thors. So I get into a point where I just sort of throw away my entire army and don't really know how to engage and fight as a Zerg. Now, a few things I do love about Zerg is really just the macro possibilities. So you see going for an early hatch here, it's about a 15 hatch, and I'm sending over my Overlord here. And with the Overlord, I'm going to try to get very close just to the bottom of the minerals to try to get a quick glance to see if he's in this position. I don't want to send it too far in that he'll be able to see my Overlord and know where I am. So you'll see I got a rally point over here, and the second I see those SCVs, I'm going to pull back right away here just so he can't see that Overlord. And now I'm going to scout this position, see what he's going for, and it looks like he's going to be opening up with 2 racks. It's a very popular opening on the ladder right now. It forgoes any gas, and I send my drone right in here to scout. So I'm going to see the 2 racks, the 1 marine, and I'm just going to get out of here with this drone alive. He's sending his SCV to the upper right hand first, and that is going to play into this just a little bit. We see that I have added a spawning pool. One of the problems I have as Zerg is I'll add just a few more drones after that hatchery goes down. I really need to work on getting that spawning pool right away and getting those Zerglings and Queens out right away. And it looks like 2 SCVs making their way towards my base now. He knows where I am, and he knows that I'm going to have a fast expansion here. Now these SCVs are going to spell trouble. If we check the production tab, I've got 6 Zerglings on the way. I've also done a transfer of drones here. And I like that transfer to the natural in the early going with 4 or 5 drones. They're going to really help you defend against any sort of early bunker or marine play, and it's just such a far distance for his marines to get over here. I'm able to take down one of those SCVs, and it looks like the second SCV in just a second here, and now I have both drones and Zerglings out, so he's going to have to retreat, cancel those bunkers, and so his initial attack there was foiled. And at this level of diamond, you see this quite a bit, so I am used to defending it. The first game I played on ladder, I got 2 racks, SCV, Marine, all in, and eventually lost it. Defended it initially, but definitely used to these aggressive Terran builds with bunkers, SCVs, and Marines. So it looks like his next step is going to be to add a command center, and he's now adding 2 gas as well. The thing about this 2 racks is it's going to prevent him from getting stim up anytime soon. He's not going to have any tech labs or reactors because he has no gas. So again, one of the things I love about Zerg is just your ability to take map control, spread creep, spread overlords, use Zerglings on these towers. As you see, I have both towers. I've got a small pack of Zerglings in the center of the field, and I've got 1 Zergling trying to poke up here into the ramp, see what he's going for, see if he has expanded with the position of the barracks. I imagine he has already, but just want to verify with this 1 Zergling, and it's going to die to a very worthy cause, going to see all those Marines, and he's going to see the barracks being added as well. So I know he's going to go for a heavy barrack or a heavy Marine mix, and at this point I'm getting a little bit scared. He's got a number of Marines out there that could easily take down my forces, so I'm putting down 1 spine crawler. One of my opponents recently said that spine crawlers definitely slow down any sort of Marine or SCV push, makes them at least think twice. And I'm adding a Baneling nest as well. I got speed about 2/3 of the way done. So just waiting and anticipating this push. If we check the income tab, it is 22 to 21. One of the things I also have difficulty with is adding drones. As you'll see, a number of points in this game I will be droning up, but just not necessarily when I should. Also, keeping energy low on the queens is a struggle for any new Zerg player. You see that I am spreading creep here, as I want any sort of engagement with banelings or speedlings to be on creep just so they move that much faster. Adding a few more drones, feeling quite safe. I haven't seen him move across the field yet. I do have those towers. So one of the important things as Zerg is to make units just as you need them, and to make drones otherwise for the most part. So you definitely want to have a large standing army to defend against any sort of push, but if you have firm map control, if you have the towers, if you have a Zergling right outside of his base, you're going to be able to see when he pushes out, and then you can start producing more units. I'm adding some more Zerglings to my flock, and it looks like he does have an engineering bay working on that +1 upgrade, so he may be waiting for that for any sort of attack. He's gotten down the tech lab as well, about halfway done stim. Such a very long research, 140 game seconds. So again, we're in the about the 8:30 minute mark, and he has no stim, so he can't push up. So right now I'm just droning up, trying to focus on my econ as much as I can. Still not that great, just 27 harvesters to 27. He has mules as well, so he's got that slight advantage mineral-wise. I have my lair up and running, so I haven't yet chosen a lair tech. Typically like going Speedling, Baneling, Muta in this matchup, but I haven't added the Spire quite yet. It looks like I'm going to be doing that just now, so not rushing to Spire, not trying to get all my gases saturated. I want a decent amount of Zerglings, I want to get Banelings, I want to get my creep spread before I add those Mutas. Again, I have this Overlord positioned by his back doors, or by the backdoor rock, so I'm going to be able to see if he's trying to break these and push out through my backdoor. A lot of TVZs have been played in these close positions with the shared backdoors recently. IdrA versus MVP, IdrA versus Druby in a recent tournament as well. So a lot of difficulty for Zerg players in these close positions when the Terran player can just bust through these rocks and then be right in your backdoor. You see I've placed a creep tumor here as well, so I will be spreading creep along this backdoor corridor, as well as 2 creep tumors across the center of the map. I'm going to go ahead and add a third at this point. He still hasn't pushed out, so if we check the army tab, it is 1800 to 775. He's got a ton of Marines, and his stim has finished. He's going to work on combat shield. Looks like he's not going to be waiting for those, and he has a few siege tanks as well with siege tech, so they're going to be quite good against Zerglings and Banelings alike. He's giving a quick scan here, so he's going to see the few spine crawlers as well as my low Zergling count. I just droned up. You see 10 drones popping out at this point, so I'm going to be about 39 to 35. And I really need to create a lot more Zerglings as I see him pushing across the field with those Zerglings on the tower. I also sent another Zergling over to the 3rd and 4th just to see whether he was going for a quick third, and I did see that creating. But now pulling back this guy so that I can get a little bit of scouting going, or a little bit of defense going, creating Banelings as well. And you don't want to create Banelings too early, you want to create them just as you need them. It's a pretty quick warp in time. It's just 20 seconds, so you also want to create more Banelings than you really think you'll need. At this point, it looks like I've got almost 2 rows of Banelings, and I want to engage with the Zerglings first and roll the Banelings in afterwards, and just move with my Banelings. You see I'm controlling those, and as they go down to Marine Fire, they're just going to explode, and I'm able to clean that up really nicely. The Marines not doing too much damage there, and the siege tanks were not sieged up in time, and again, this spread creep is just so good for sight, and it makes those Speedlings and those Banelings so much faster. I'm going to go ahead and get my centrifugal hooks at this point. I want those Banelings to be even faster on that creep, and need to continue to spread creep all throughout the map. Need to also saturate my 3rd. I've got another queen up here ready to go. If we check the APM at this point, it is 104 to 65, but I tend to spike and keep relatively consistent around 100 as the mid game goes on, so you should see that rising dramatically. But again, have these Banelings and Zerglings keeping very low count of units. If we check the unit counting station, just 14 Zerglings and 5 Banelings. Doing my best to just macro up, getting a little high energy-wise on Queen. She needs to inject. Looks like she's going to do that right now. and also coming out with my first batch of mutas. Now this is pretty late for mutas, around the 13-minute mark. Not sure why I delayed them so long in this game. I delayed the Spire quite a bit, and once the Spire popped, I did not get mutas up right away. If we check the income tab, it is now 1900. He's got all these mules working for him. He's got 3 orbital commands. He also put up a sensor tower, so he's going to be able to see any sort of muta play as it comes in. He's got a missile turret in this and this mineral field, so not going to be too many things that I can harass. Looks like he does not have any missile turrets in this third, and I know that he was taking this, so I figured this will be the least defended. This will probably not have too many Marines near, so I'm going to go ahead and harass here first. But just as I'm about to harass, he's now throwing up these missile turrets. If we check the production tab, I'm going to go ahead and get the Overlord speed, which is pretty good for map control. And also, if your Overlords get caught by Marines, you can try to get to some high ground quickly with that speed. Now kind of swoop in here with these Mutalisks, and seeing these 2 missile turrets, going to do the best that I can on the one. He's really slow to repair that one, but he's going to be much faster to repair this one, and I'm not going to be able to take it on, losing a number of valuable mutas, but now just pulling back, and he's going to be pushing in here with a few Marines as well. So losing some mutas there, not doing too much damage. I don't think I took down any SCVs, though a few of them are low health. And just need to continue to reinforce my muta numbers, along with keeping a large pack of Zerglings and a few Banelings on hand. At this point, I'm again feeling relatively comfortable. I've got great creep spread all the way over to his base for the most part, so I'm going to go ahead and take a 4th. If we check the income tab, he's still light years ahead of me, about 1900 with those mules compared to my 1400, 60 harvesters compared to my 48. So again, not droning up as much as I can. These queens a little bit high on energy. See this one about 86, so I've missed about 3 injects on her, and about 3 or 4 on this queen as well. So really hurting my macro, but again, with this creep spread, I'm able to see him push out here, and he's also doing a double push. So I tried to intercept this push along the southern point with those Mutalisks, but he is good about dropping those Marines right away, and I had to pull back. So now he's got double pressure coming to my backdoor rocks as well as my front door. So checking out the front door here, I've got just a few mutas, and he's actually going to pull back here. If he engaged right away, I would not have enough mutas, or I would not have enough Banelings, but now warping in, creating a number of Banelings, and more Zerglings coming out. We see 14 Zerglings and 13 Banelings on the way. And now pushing up with these tanks, he needs to get in siege mode here so he can take down these Zerglings. I'm going to try to attack the Zerglings first and roll the Banelings in afterwards. See the siege tanks taking down the Spinecrawler there, but all those Banelings getting to those Marines. The Marines need to stay behind those siege tanks and try to stem away from those Banelings. And my back door cleaned up nicely by those Mutalisks. Just a few more units, they're no longer taking on my rocks. And now some late siege tanks taken down by these mutas. Gonna pick off that Raven as well. Raven's really annoying. He's going to be picking off my creep tumors with those. And I've got more Zerglings on the way. Looks like he's pushing across with some more Marines and another Raven. Cleaning up my back door just a bit. Going to try to focus down the Marine first and then take on the Marauder. And it looks like he's thought better of his continued aggression, pulling back with those Marines. So relatively happy with my defense at this point. I'm bringing in the Zerglings and the Banelings just in time and getting some pretty good attack first with my Zerglings and then rolling in those Banelings, taking down those Marines. Kind of some poor micro on his part, and got to get those siege tanks into siege mode a little bit earlier, not at the bottom of the ramp. Though the siege mode at the bottom of the ramp kind of cuts off the amount of room that I have to get down there, so perhaps that was part of his plan. But at this point I'm just macroing up, continuing to spread creep throughout the map. And if we check the army tab, it is pretty even, 2700 to 2600, but again, income-wise, he's got me totally dominated, 78 harvesters to 45. He's got all these mules going as well, but if I'm able to take down a number of Marines with just one Baneling, his income does not matter. If we check the resource counting station, both of us getting pretty high. Again, my macro is Zerg, not real great, missing some injects. So not a lot of larvae to work with, and even when I do have larvae, for some reason I don't often spend them. I'm really slow to max out, and a lot of that is just because I don't know what to make at what time. So I like to keep some larvae just in case I need to make some Zerglings or Mutas at the drop of a hat. And it looks like he's pushing forward once again. I saw this coming, and I'm going to try to attack before the siege tanks can get here. I saw that they were a little bit late to the party, and I'm going to try to roll in best I can with those banelings, concentrate on the siege tanks with those zerglings. You see the zerglings were able to get on the siege tanks before they got into siege mode, and the banelings were able to take down all those marines, and now the muta's coming in once again to just clean up. So those mutas not being taken down by the marines very much, so pretty safe muta play here. See, I have quite a few, almost 2 rows of mutas, and one set of mutas was taking down some important reactors and barracks in his base. So at this point I'm just playing so defensive, focusing on my macro even though it is slipping. I don't have this 4th base quite saturated yet, but I've been able to repel anything he's going for. See, he's throwing down a number of racks in this 4th, and if we check the income, 97 harvesters to 45, that might be a little bit overkill harvester-wise, unless he's going to be pushing out with some SCVs in the next push, perhaps to tank some damage from those banelings. Really like to see a few more marauders in his group composition. Those marauders in the front can tank a lot of the baneling damage, and as you stim and kite away, the marauders will not go down to those banelings, and you can really protect your marines. See, the marines well upgraded 3-1 at this point. He has no upgrades for those tanks. You really want that first attack upgrade for the tank. That way they one-shot those zerglings. See, right now they're going to be doing 35 damage to zerglings. Let's see if I can find a zergling here. As I'm doing more harassment with these mutalisks, I've got quite the cloud going, almost 3 rows now, and I'm really going to be concentrating on reactors and barracks. I want to stem the flow of those marines, and he's got a few siege tanks in here as well. I could be taking on those, and again with this creep I see he's pushing across once again, so I need to really retreat with these zerglings. Do not want them to be caught out in the open ground, and now we're creating a number of banelings once again. I always say warp since I'm so used to Protoss, and now I really need to try to time this. I need to push forward with the zerglings and roll in there with the banelings. Looks like I've got the mutas coming in from behind, so now all the zerglings going down to the siege tank fire, these banelings rolling in and taking down all these marines, the mutalisks in the back able to clean up these tanks, and at this point I was once again able to foil his attack, and I guess he really got frustrated at this point and thought he might have been behind, as he gives the GG and the well played. Again, his income much higher than mine the entire game. I did not have good saturation on my 3rd or 4th, but just better army control on my part than him. Really benefited from watching IdrA, Dimaga, and all the other games which I didn't cast but still watched, and just the controls a lot better in my TVZ at this point. I got at the mutalisks a little bit late. I probably should have been harassing with those more. You saw I was able to make my way into the main and take down a number of reactors and barracks, and I really should be focusing on that more. At this point, I don't really know if I could have pushed out and actually won the game at any point, but it looks like I was able to frustrate him to the point where he just GG's, so got a win against a pretty high-rated diamond player, so I was happy about that, and will continue to be playing Zerg as I enjoy them. Just the change of pace from Protoss and the fact that they're more macro-oriented and map control-oriented, something I really like. So thanks for watching this one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Take care.